here. Now we've dealt with them, and now we can start our webinar. We had some music on first, and I enjoy it more without music because you can hear me well without it. So let me introduce myself. My name is Manuel F. Sanchez. I am a leader manager under the affiliate program of the Consumer Society, NEW. We all know why we're here for. And I'm also a representative of the local leadership council. I'm also a private investor among many other things. Also, I'm a father to 3 children. And I'm also a grandfather to 6 grandchildren. The 6th granddaughter was born last week. And as any such moments in your life are important moments in your life, they are quite emotional. And my granddaughter is just a thing of beauty, you know, and I cannot be happy enough every time when I see my grandchildren born. I am from the average family. I can't say that I had a rich childhood or that we were very well off. No, it was a ordinary family. I went to study to be an engineer, and when I graduated, I worked as an engineer for a year, just a year, and then 10 years in a row I worked not according to my profession, not according to my education. And you know, it's always sad when you choose one profession, you study for it, and then you go and work as someone else. But you know, I didn't lose faith in myself. I kept on believing that I could have a better life, and then I started trading. And you know, and you might think it was like foreign currency trading, but not. It was regular sales. I was a small-time retailer, and you know, I realized that I deserve and can do more. And then I went on to be a wholesale seller, and I had lots of partners. But then I had a financial misfortune. One day I woke up and I had nothing. And I realized that I'm back. I realized that I have to be back on track. And I tried again and again, and through direct sale, I tried myself at direct sales. And I did everything I could, you know, but I always kept on dreaming about better, bigger things. And I realized that future is on the internet. I realized I had to learn the ropes to know my way around the internet. And that's where I started doing internet sales. You know, and I had my difficulties like anyone out there. I didn't understand things. I was angry, upset about not understanding things. Until I understood that I'm like a blind, you know, miner, or better, explosion squad, you know, like I was there searching for mines, and any mistake could mean an explosion. And but I kept on going, you know. I joined the company, eventually this company, and it was a revelation for me. I realized how lucky I was. I am very soon to be 75 years of age, but life has just begun for me. Finally, the life of my dreams. I kept on attending events, the first, the second, the third event, and every time I attended those events, I realized that I was drawing closer to the life of my dreams. And I realized that it's not an illusion, it's something quite tangible, that this company gives us an opportunity to develop, become something, to be a part of something bigger. I'm now a leader manager, but I know that I'm still halfway there. I know that I can achieve more. And when we receive all the information that we have, we realized that this is it, the solution to many problems to the world that we face in the world every day. And I realized also that this was once in a lifetime opportunity that we cannot pass by, that we need to catch, we need to, use it. And I did. And now I'm in love with what I'm doing. I'm so passionate about what I'm doing, and I'm very honored and glad to be talking to you here, to be knowing you, some of you in person, And this is just a small step on the really big path. We are going towards something great, financial freedom, and the realization that we are helping such a big number of people. And it is possible, it is achievable to change the lives of millions of people, for the better. Could we please move on to the next slide? And now I would like to introduce to you, or to show you, our
second part of our meeting, and to introduce you this speaker. She is an expert in communication. He is a master of all forms of communication, both online, offline, verbal, non-verbal communication, which is a key to our success. And what could be better than getting a master class from such an expert as he is? And our today's speaker is an expert, and he will be followed up by another speaker, and then we will have question and answer session. So this person, his name is Igor Nezavibatka, and actually it took me very difficult to pronounce this last name. I trained a lot this morning, but he is an actor and director, a coach. He graduated from the Department of Acting of Drama School, named after Shchepkin. Actually, this summer I will dedicate to pronouncing correctly the foreign last names. He is an actor and director. He has 40 years of experience at stage, 29 years of teaching acting techniques and public speaking. And for 20 years, he's providing business trainings across the world. He is a motivational speaker, and you will actually learn it on your own. So unfortunately, I didn't know this, but this is a good surprise for both me and you, actually, to enjoy his speech. Igor, we are looking forward to dive deep into your knowledge. Good afternoon, dear participants. I hope that you can both hear and see me well. Guys, can we hear and see him well? Please give us some indication in the chat. Thank you very much for your feedback. Well, dear friends, look, Manuel has already introduced me, and I do know that somehow you know me because you met me either at our trainings or you heard about our trainings from your leaders who actually take part in our speaking masterclasses. I do apologize that the translation is good, and what I'm going to tell you and to quite probably show you. And let's talk how our communication changes when we shift from live communication to communication online via screen. You understand that this screen communication is a key, and we all actually miss the warmth, hugging of someone, seeing the eyes of a person, and talking personally. But this is the peculiarity. First of all, we live in different continents, and there are some limitations to our personal meetings. And look, most people who actually are used to talking live at this stage or having some eye-to-eye discussions and conversations, they find it quite difficult to shift to online format of communication. A lot of my friends, colleagues, and trainers, as well as business partners, complain that it's much more complicated and difficult to persuade, to convince a person and influence him when he is sitting behind the other part of the screen. And this is because that apart from the words, your ideas you try to convey, there are such things as energy, your emotions, your vibrations, and the personal contact you may have, which actually generates trust between the people talking. When you talk eye to eye or in front of a group of people, you trust them more than the person sitting behind the screen. And therefore, our task, even under these conditions, to generate curiosity, interest, and trust, and convey somehow our energy to a person who is sitting far away from us. And therefore, if now we talk about some problems you may face during online communication, let's enumerate them all. And we, step by step, need to address them. First of all, firstly, no personal contact, emotional and energy exchange between the speaker and the interlocutors. Secondly, so a lot of distracting things. One thing, when you come to an office and you meet in a conference hall, and the other thing is when you stay at home. You can enjoy your tea, coffee, or there are some kids actually torturing you, a lot of distracting factors. When you are in an office or in a hall, in an audience hall, all the attention is grabbed by the speaker, whereas here, the speaker competes with a lot of other signals which always distract your attention. And there is such a feeling that it seems I hear quite well what someone is saying, but it's like the water flowing through your hand. No one is staying there. And quite often, when you have eye-to-eye contact, the effect will be 10, 12, or 15 times higher compared to when a person seems to listen to you, but he's staying in his at his home and he is distracted. So he has his distracted attention. What should we need to do? You need to grab his attention and keep this attention throughout the course of your speech or negotiations, on the meeting or the phone call you have. And it means that you are to keep this attention to the end, and that the peak of his attention actually convey to him the most important message of our today's meeting. So this challenge is to be addressed as well. The third problem is, look, it's quite routine and quite regular. So some unpleasant picture, some unpleasant background. Look, a person is in front of his screen and a huge head seen in the screen, and he's talking this way. And you want actually to take a step backwards or close your eyes because it's quite difficult to watch it, or the background is not appealing at all. And I am not competitive to this picture, but I did it intentionally and actually dressed up in the way to be with the same colors. No, we don't have slides. Igor is speaking. He is a motivational speaker and he's training you in speaking, and no slides so far. Can you see his picture? Can you see him? And look, when you have something in the background, you don't look at the speaker, you watch something else in the background. And therefore, you make sure that the background supports you, but not actually distracts people's attention. And this is quite a common mistake. I always notice it. Fourthly, if the attention is so distracted and a lot of things that may distract you, then in a bit different way, you need to catch and grab other person's attention to say, I speak live in front of you. When we had our master classes, I can, with no breaks, and quite often we could start working at 10 a.m. till 11 p.m. at night, and to always keep your attention and to be in live contact with you and always grab your attention. But now it seems that me only talking all the time.
Amen.
This is a monologue, not a dialogue. Yes, you can turn on the microphone and say something. And there you can actually run a chat and people leave some comments. But let's be honest, when you compare the live communication and the reaction, the laughing, his responses, live responses to my questions, this is a minor part, and we are to address this problem as well, because when we have a conversation, it's not a monologue, this is always a dialogue. When the other person is silent, so he responds to me with his thoughts, in his thoughts, and me as a speaker, I need to notice this, observe this, take note, and adjust my behavior, responding to the way I am accepted. And there is such a word as drilling in the Russian language, drilling. So they are drilling, talking non-stop. But at the same time, you go and make a cup of tea, or you actually observe or look through your communication in the telephone. But me as a speaker, I don't feel this. I don't feel that it's time to finalize or to change the topic. I'm still talking, but my listeners actually already left the chat, and therefore we are to actually be interactive to understand whether the patient is still alive or already died. Or maybe my conversation is already over, and therefore the ways or the methods to support conversation are a must when you talk, when you use online formats of communication. Look, there are some live trainings. It seems everything is ready. The technique is a potential betrayer, actually. Look, when you use the minimum techniques at a particular moment, something will fail. Great that here we have a well-established technology. There are moderators and organizers following the technical part, and there are professional interpreters working for us, but we don't always enjoy this. Quite often you have some live streams from homes, you don't have technical aids that follow the operation of the chat, whether someone can receive the sound or cannot receive the sound, and etc. So meaning that you are to be multifunctional and to follow this. So sustain the energy, grab their attention, and always follow all the technicalities, whether everything is functional. And Dmitry Zaychenko writes down that Igor is poorly seen, slide is black. and then organizers somehow are to respond like in our room. Look, so we zoomed actually the picture because I may miss this comment. And then look, now I'm approaching the solution. If you have any problems with the sound, so you are to leave the Zoom session and then get in again, or you can actually push a button to demonstrate the screen at the top corner for a person to see the screen of the speaker. So all these things are to be taken account and observed. And in this particular case, Dmitry will give me some indication whether you can hear me and see me. You'd better both see and hear me, because you will miss a part of pleasure and delight. Look, before our meeting, those people who make some Zoom sessions, I ask them to share their concerns, their pains in the backs. And many people responded the following. Look, Igor, when we actually talk via screen, you always want to talk. You always want to reflect. And it seems that the pace is too slow. And actually some responses, some reflection, but how the decisions are made, how the actions are taken. A person, first of all, understands that it's beneficial, it's useful, meaningful, I need it. So the consciousness is on, everything is fine. And we will discuss this content. But the most important thing for them to be willing to act, for him to have a desire, intrigue, interest to do it. And when you, with your big head, sit in front of the screen, talking very slowly, the person loses the interest. So no emotions are generated. Then it means somehow you are to provocate these emotions, to turn them on. You don't see him or a small head and he is actually turning to a different side of the screen, but I need to actually start him somehow, start his engine, and therefore the emotional part of the negotiations is underestimated by many people. And I would like to share a large secret with you. I fully dislike online conferences, conferences and sessions. Only a few of them I have patience to actually sustain them to the very end. Why? Because most of them are boring. Most of them are boring, even though I understand that it is meaningful and useful for me, but I'd like to have a different format. It means that our goal is to increase emotions. And at this moment, look, a person understands, yes, it's useful, beneficial, meaningful, and emotions, I eager, and I'm ready. This is quite important. And now you need to influence their will. Start, make a phone, please come. At this moment, what are you doing? Yes, what are we doing? We push them somehow. We are a push to this person. So at any seminar, video conference, Zoom, phone call, training, and so on and so forth, there should be this urge, this calling for action, a small step to say, let's phone tomorrow, or let's tomorrow discuss this and that. But every meeting is to include this will, this action, because what will a person do in front of his screen? Yes, he will listen to it saying, okay, a good guy, a serious company, good products are offered, but I need to think it over. I will think it over. And as you can imagine, when he starts thinking, it will take a lot of time, because when the screen is off, so in the screen there is everything YouTube, some Facebook, so his attention is lost, and then his even minor desires for action, they are vague and dispersed, and you lost them. Quite often a person say, yes, this is meaningful, this is useful, but then he sees something else. I am an emotional speaker, but even after me, you will put on some video on YouTube with your favorite singer, you will immediately forget me. I can't compete it. And it means that within the time, until you lose this person's attention, you need to launch a process which will never stop. Even him doing something extra, something different, he has some buzz in his mind. Only then you will see some actually you will see some roots or some branches, because of these roots of these grains you cultivated in his head. So we do have time, and now this is the time to discuss solutions. Look, let's do the following. Energy of your speech. We started from this. Did you notice that not actually a standard speech and my behavior as an online speaker for an online seminar? I am not sitting. It's quite strange. All the normal people tend to sit and do it deliberately. Look, when you run a training, and if you want actually to catch people's attention, never sit. So a person with some who is hot-tempered, who is full of emotions, and he sits down simply not to break down his computer. Why a person sit down in our lives? To calm down and to discuss something with a slow pace, to reflect on something, to explore, analyze something. But when you want to convince, persuade, inspire, what do we need to see? Actions. And then I urge you as a task, in the next meeting you have, irrespective where it is, and every time I will give you some assignments for each bullet point. Please check a part of your speech. Do it being seated as you are used to, and a part being standing, and then demonstrate the extent of your being emotional, the level of your energy, and whether then you receive the active feedback from the people.
Now, in addition to the fact that we are on our feet, remember we mentioned the big head effect, when you have the entire head filling the screen. You know, sometimes people do it even like this. They have a lamp on top of their head, of course, like a nimbus, you know, like the sign of our holiness, etc. No problem with that, but you must agree that it's some kind of megalomania, right, when you do it like this. So what we need to do is to pick the most favorable angle for us. Best of all, if you can see there is like a LED light on your camera. So you should either aim it at the center of your head or a little bit higher. Then the people's attention won't go to the ceiling where the source of light is. And second of all, especially, it is relevant for women, or let's say older men. The angle from top to bottom a little bit better. because you'll have like a leaner face, thinner face. We won't see the double chin if you have it, and the eyes will be more prominent in this case than like this. But if I were conducting a webinar like this, you see, but you know, some other things are catching your eye instead of what I want, things that I want to catch your eye, you know. So before this speech, you need to position your camera in such a way as to be at the same level with the camera, and you must have noticed about all the gestures, all the signs that I'm making. It is not really necessary online, but it's preferable to have it. Why? Because gestures create dynamic picture, dynamic image. If I was speaking like this, and I could be speaking like this with making some extra signs, hand signs. Of course, you won't be doing it like I'm doing it. You have your own temperament. You have your own like nature, mood. Maybe you're more temperamental or less temperamental. But gestures serve two purposes. First, for the audience to stress and point people's attention to a certain points, and for yourself as well. Why? So check it yourself. This is task number 2 for you. Try speaking with your hands folded or resting on your laps or on your chest, or put it on your table or lower. And in this situation, the emotionality and the energy level of the person starts decreasing. So as soon as I start narrating something, you see what I'm doing here? If you add some prominence with your hands, if I'm talking about myself, the world I'm in, about the growth that I'm experiencing in the company, together with my hands and legs, because I'm standing on my feet here, my feet are like springs, like there is energy in my feet, in my legs, and your body posture, hands and feet are serving as an additional source of energy. Let's make an experiment here. Hopefully you're all sitting before the screen and you won't scare your family members. We're doing it very often with our trainees, but just push away from the screen, or better stand on your feet. Guys, at least give me some sign in the chat if you have space, room to stand up and, you know, move away from your screens. Okay, if you did it already, hopefully everyone is ready. Spain, Italy, England, you know, Australia, I know that you're ready, New Zealand, etc. So hopefully all of you are ready. You're on your feet. You can recite any kind of poem in your own language. Just, I'll give you a couple of seconds to remember it. The first thing that comes to your mind, don't be picky. Now try to recite it and show with your hands what are you telling. If the screen is too close, then you won't be able to maneuver with your hands. And the bigger the distance between you and the screen, the wider are going to be your gestures. Let's go, you know, to your waist, the distance, so that you're showing to your waist. I know that lots of speakers on the webinars are dressed to their waist, you know, and it's a proven fact, guys. Don't be sad about it. And now let's start reciting our poem and showing it with our hands. For example, something from Pushkin. Like, my uncle was a decent dude, you know, and when he was sick, he tried to force people to respect him. So do not be hasty, but follow it with your gestures. Any poem that you want, like you can, we have recite a poem by Lermontov, for example, another Russian poet, about a ship floating on the waves with a white sail, you know, it's in the wind, it's not looking for happiness, it's not, you know, chasing happiness or is being driven away by sorrow. So any kind of, poem of your choice. But instead of simply waving your hands like this, no, you should be showing what you're saying with your hands. Imagine there is like a foreigner standing in front of you. So, and that foreigner doesn't speak your language. So what you're doing, you're speaking louder because that's what people think makes foreigners understand you better, and you're showing it with your hands as well. Because, foreigners are kind of a simple people, a little bit stupid. So you have to show them things with your hands, like showing it to a child. So imagine that you're reciting a poem to a foreigner. It's like a technique. But if you have a habit of showing what you're saying with your hands right away, literally in 2-3 seconds, you forget about your hands because you're very involved in the content, in the conversation, and the hands have a life of their own. They are moving on their own. They are, they try to reinforce your words. So someone is writing something in English. The man is not speaking English. Of course he's not. He's being translated into English, guys. So your hands become congruent. They follow the body language and they follow the essence, the meaning of your words. It reinforces your emotionality, your rhythm. So my trainer colleagues of mine, my trainers, we try to understand how to increase, to boost the level of energy when speaking online and offline. And 70% of your energy online should be higher, 70%, than when you're speaking offline before a live audience. The screen takes or simply devours 70% of your natural energy. While one-on-one, we can speak calmly and the person will hear us and understand us in person, of course. When you're talking before a screen, you can't do it. You speak in a different way. Even if I'm talking less loudly, like lower, it means that I'm talking slower and I'm trying to produce more effect, more impact, even if I'm talking low. For example, right now, I was looking at the camera, exactly at the camera with my eyes. Lots of people do not, look into the camera. They are looking in the center of the screen, but you must understand that the camera and the center of the screen are positioned in different places. It's like talking to a person and not looking into the eyes of that person. But people sometimes, when they're online, they look at the floor, at the ceiling, anywhere else. So sometimes it's like this, you can see only the forehead of the person and the rest is the ceiling or the wall. But that is not our case. We want to be professionals. And compared to others, we will look like masters. So in a very important moment, when you need people to hear you, to trust you, to hear your key message, don't look at the keyboard, don't look at the screen, don't look exactly at the camera lens. So find the camera lens and look there, okay? Guys, try to memorize this or put it down, because I'm giving you lots of information. Some of that information you know already, thank God. Some of the things you might have been guessing, and some of the things will be quite new material and you'll have to use in your next presentations. And remember also that the technique is a potential traitor, especially in a computer. When I meant technique, I meant technical equipment is your traitor. Because no matter how good internet connection you have, the internet provider or hardware, it needs to provide at least 500 megabit per second. But there always be package drops, you know, when the internet is patchy. And usually, according to the Murphy's Law, it happens when you're doing your presentation, as if the providers knew that you're doing your presentation. You know, it means that you need to be using cable internet connection, not Wi-Fi. You need to have an Ethernet connection. You might not be using it in your everyday life, but during presentation, this cable needs to be plugged in to your computer to ensure no package losses and more best stable internet connection. Go and check your internet speed. The difference between Wi-Fi speed and the difference and the cable-based connection, and you will see that there is a difference. Usually, it's not really critical for voice, but if you want to convey image, it's very critical. There will be lots of frozen frames. Maybe the signal is good over there, but because of your patchy internet and Wi-Fi glitches, there will be frozen frames. You know, sometimes you see the really bad distorted voice, and you can't even understand anything. And you understand that it's not his fault, it's not your fault, it's the universe's fault. But it leads to irritation, lack of understanding. You're getting tired very quickly because of that. And then a person says, well, the material is interesting, but I cannot keep on listening to that. So guys, you need to have high-speed internet connection, cable-based connection, because I know lots of people are using mobile internet, smartphones. Even in the best of countries, mobile internet is not the best solution. It should be cable-based, high-speed internet connection. Okay? Ethernet. Well, as for the betrayal of hardware, of course, you need to be preparing for the presentation in advance. You need to check in advance how you're entering your account, all the links if they are valid, and don't ever do the following. The presentation has started, the webinar started. I came to listen to you, and some people pay money for that as well. You sit down, and all of a sudden, you see some distorted face of someone who is going to speak, and he starts fiddling with the buttons. Something is not going on. He's starting to figure out with a technician what's going on, etc. And it takes 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and it's boring. And when it happens with me, I just turn off my PC and then I go away. It's a show of lack of respect for people who found time to watch you live, And sometimes, maybe later I will watch a recording of it. But you know how people watch recordings? They put it on fast forward. So 2/3 of the recordings, I put it at 1.25 times or 1.5 times the original speed, because all that, redundant words, pauses, R's and R's, interruptions. A person with my temperament cannot really handle this. Maybe live it's still tolerable, but when it's a recording, really it's bothering me too much. So prepare at least 15 minutes before the start. Check your camera settings. If there is too little light, add some light. You see, I have a professional light here that will save me in any given situation. You need to have something like that. You can buy some portable sources of light as well. Of course, you need to have a good microphone. It shouldn't be a computer microphone, inbuilt microphone. It should be a standalone microphone. autonomous microphone, because sometimes computers, inbuilt computer microphones are, you know, a no-no. It's really a disaster. So it's like a gentleman package, you know. I'm sorry for telling you really simple, trivial things. I'm sure you are all aware of that and you are doing that, but I can't stress enough the importance of that, because even if you are doing it the way it should be done, definitely you have partners who are doing it the wrong way. So you need to have the lighting, good microphone, and cable-based connection, internet connection. You see, I'm now doing some repairs in my apartment, and I'm now renting an apartment, not the best one because of the lockdown, but I still, you see, even in a rented apartment, I removed everything redundant. But you know, I put up this painting, you know, by a famous painter. Hopefully you will appreciate it, you know, the Klimt guy. And you know, you can be anywhere. You can be even in Stockholm, but you will be broadcasting from a sauna. Or for example, you can be in Moscow, be sitting in Moscow, and add the virtual background of, you know, being like on top of a high skyscraper. But you know, virtual backgrounds are not really up to the challenge yet. You know, some people have a prominent faces, you know, and especially women, they can make some makeup, and you know, they will take the catch the your attention, but the background should be really neutral, your virtual background, because if it's like an Eiffel Tower or the seaside, people will be looking at the Eiffel Tower and not you. So I set up a neutral background over here. But if you go and check the background after my webinar and do it, you'll see that as soon as you start moving, the virtual background will be moving with you as if you're in a cartoon. If you like bend your head, you will see that your ear starts stretching. Of course, you can get used to anything, but maybe we shouldn't take that path at all. So if you're going to actively move, and if you don't have good lighting, for example, even with a very powerful lamp, you see that it's not really bright here because there is a thunderstorm outside and there is no sun. So poor lighting will lead to a very blurry image, gray blurry image, and because of the virtual background, you will have some distortions of the image, and it's quite painful to watch. So if it was like a cartoon or a stand-up comedian show, then it would be cool. But if you're talking about finance or it's a business proposal, you need to be professional about it. So take care about, if it's a live background, take care of it. So sometimes it can be, you know, there are some technical tricks you can do. It can be a stationary background, and you can use it, you know. But the wall should have no redundant things, or it could be a bookcase, a bookshelf with lots of books. It immediately adds to your image, like you are a person who enjoys reading. You know, you can also pick your books, like a good selection of books. So take care of your background. It is very important. It will help you, and it will increase your rating and the attitude of the audience to you as a professional. Never hold your presentations outside, because there are lots of external noises, unexpected noises at that. There might be wind blowing, leaves might be making noise, seaside noise. You know, better to avoid it. Or during the presentation, like there is a thunderstorm literally outside and it's pouring. And imagine if you're doing it outside, what kind of noise people will be hearing. What else I wanted to add here? we mentioned interactivity, how to maintain interactivity, how to maintain the dialogue, how to get people's attention. At the moment, it's a webinar. You can see me. Hopefully you can see me well. At least everyone says it's good. Okay, I can see that everyone can see me. Guys in the English chat, give me some feedback here. Okay, enough lighting? Good. Now, there is a video conference mode as well, when you can see yourself and other participants of the conference. So you can see both the speaker and people attending the session. And there might be lots of windows, you know, with people in it. So when you're speaking, ask people to turn on the function so that they could see only the speaker and not everyone else. Very important, because sometimes people are doing really unbelievable things. So at first they are sitting and they know that they are being watched. 15 minutes later, they forget that they're being watched and they're doing things you can't even imagine. Even the most serious people. I mean, it's like I felt this shame when I saw it. But, you know, that's the way we behave when nobody is watching us at home, you know. And a person is, you know, watching you speaking, and around that speaker, a very big life is going on, and you can do nothing about it. Let me tell you about an old technique. You know, I know that I'm an actor and the director of the theater, and then I became a business coach.
Well, it's enough, no matter how actors perform. When there is a cat at stage, this is it. So everyone is watching this cat. Cat is doing nothing special. Or in case there is a kid, it's the same thing. You can actually bury the actors. Look, our retention is caught by these accidental signals. And our brain, our attention, first of all, responds to something new and unexpected. Not the important thing and what you need, and not the smart and intelligent things you say, but something new and unexpected. And no matter how intelligent I speak, how smart I seem, but in case in one of the screen there is something, someone stands up and sits down, or I will not actually name what people may do, so everyone is start looking, watching there, and forget about the speaker. And therefore, I ask you and request everyone from the very beginning to actually turn on the screen of the speaker, only this. And then at the top, there are some actually windows with some faces, small faces, but they won't interfere and distract us. And the same applies when you are moderating a conference. Always turn off all the microphones. It's a must, because you will see the orchestra. Dogs barking, kids crying, someone is chewing, and etc. So all the noises, sounds are to be turned off. And only when a person is speaking or asking a question, then he turns on the microphone, or when he forgets. Actually, after his speech, after his question, you turn the microphone. It's important because we respond to the way the people react, and therefore it's a trend to say yes, plus, so how can you hear me? A person writes this down, but I always advise asking them, please nod your head if you agree. I will ask you, please nod your heads as an indication that you understand me. And if you see it in the screens, then you actually see their contact. No one actually combats or prohibits the human body, some fingers, so you are to use it. But please remember one thing: no matter which internet you have, between your signal, what you do, what you say, to the time it is accepted by the other person, there is a gap of 1 second at least. So if you nod your head but no nodding in response, it does not mean anything. So there is some 1 second or 2 second delay. And when you ask someone to write down in the chat, no one will immediately respond, because always there will be this time gap. Don't get irritated. So a person actually gets it, 1 second to understand this, another 2 seconds to understand what to write down. And there are some fingers that are slower in action than our head. And always you have this gap of 5-10 seconds. Let's experiment, guys. I will tell you, write down, and you please write down yes or no, any word you like. And you will see the speed of your responses. Ready? Write down. Okay, so there are those doing it quite fast, and there are those slow thinkers. But I warned you actually, and you were prepared, but in case you are not prepared to write something down, then the gap will be larger. And I told you that today most people actually watch recording rather than live sessions. So you can speed up. You can pause, or you can come back a bit later, or you can speed up the session. So dear friends, online we are to talk 1.5 times faster than in your normal life. No, let it be 1.25 times faster than in your normal life. I understand that our interpreters hate me now, actually, because we know that they are the best simultaneous interpreters, and I need to speak slower. My cheers and greetings to Spanish interpreters, to English interpreters, my greetings. So now everything is fine. But look, I can't say it this way. We are to speak very fast, because the speed of your normal life, of your personal life, of your ordinary life, here is will be accepted in a bad way. So he's very slow, a little information. I will watch some news video, or I will watch your session, but with a faster pace. So then the speed will be adjusted. Well, guys, please learn to be fast speakers and clear speakers at the same time. And if you work with foreign audience, with foreign people, then here you are to be in harmony with interpreters. Because here I work a lot with English interpreters and Bulgarian interpreters, and I see the difference in the class, in the proficiency of interpreters. So English interpreters are doing well, but Bulgarian interpreters are slowing down, and there are pauses. And the same lesson translated in different languages. In first case, so I give 20 times more information than in the second masterclass translated into Bulgarian. So my time is coming to end, unfortunately, but I have something to tell you. As always, I have a lot of interesting tips, but let's do the following. I ask you, if you find it interesting, we will have the second, the third meeting, or even an online course on online and live communications. But I'd like to tell the following. The content of your speech, the first 3 minutes, maximum 3 minutes of your speech, even with some buffer. When you listen to a speaker, if you know this person, it's one thing. But if he is a stranger, you don't know him, in these 3 minutes, you actually take the decision whether to listen to or not, whether to get involved or not, whether to be patient with him and be full attention. So or you may say, wow, the same stuff, the same story repeated hundreds of millions times and repeated some standard phrases again and again. I am fed up with them. And what happens? So he starts listening either half his ear because he can't leave. He is too polite. Or the speaker is speaking and we are enjoying our coffee, tea, some wine in Spain and Italy, in Russia, maybe something else. Look, everyone is busy with their business, and therefore your task within the first 3 minutes to grab their attention, not with your energy, not with your gestures, not only with your gestures, but with your, in the first 3 minutes to set a problem. If you visited my live masterclasses, there are 5 steps to make any presentation, any speech, to make sure that from the very beginning they understand what you are talking about, to find it interesting, to grab their attention, to actually keep their attention, and then stepwise actually present everything. I won't do it right now. It will be done at our next session. But look, the problem, any conflict or something unresolved issue. So this is what you mention. You'd better do it in the first minute of your speech, or at least within the first 3 minutes, but not more. And it should be a question or a problem or a challenge the person is concerned with. He don't know how to address, how to fight it. And then in our consciousness, actually, you grab his attention, not the smart thing, what you are saying, and not something useful you are saying, but then what is new and unexpected for them. This is the principle of survival. Without this, we would die. And in the first 3 minutes, please remember to tell them something new and unexpected. And moreover, the person who is listening should never know the solution to this problem. So he may have some ideas, but he doesn't know which idea is the best to select. And then you grab his attention and keep his attention within the entire speech. The speech may last within the different period. I see that my time is coming to the end, but my advice, honestly, so from 20 to 30 minutes, not more. So when you speak eye to eye, it could be even more if you are a master and if you structure it correctly. Online speech should be from 20 to 30 minutes. It could be 1 hour. Could it be 1 hour? Yes, it could be, but then you are to master all this mechanism of feedback, of generating interest. So you are to divide your speech into several topics, several problems to address and fight, and only then you can actually talk longer than 20-30 minutes. And accordingly, I am summing up. The laws of communication are the same, whether you speak in front of your screen or in front of a live person. So it shouldn't be a monologue, it should be a dialogue. The purpose of any speech, not informing, not entertain, but influence, impact them. And this impact includes information sharing and emotional push, meaning generating some interest from a person. But it is only for the sake of influence, of your impacting this person and the result you'd like to get. Online conversation is much harder than the eye-to-eye presentation because you lose some energy, some emotional impact. You actually see and cope with the distracted attention of your interlocutor. And therefore, in any speech you make, either eye-to-eye in front of a group of people or online sessions, some elements which will strengthen your energy, emotional impact of your speech, his subconscious being attracted by your speech, and accordingly, what you do, it should generate some pleasure and joy. And remember that every person is managed by 2 things, usefulness and joy. So, dear friends, If you find at least something useful and meaningful in my speech, in 1, 2 words, in a few words, please write this down in the chat, what you find most important, most useful. So select 1, 2 elements, 2 tips or advice I gave you, which you found most useful and meaningful. And my thanks to you for your feedback, but please be specific, which you found most important, most useful. And later on, please, for English speaking, Spanish speaking, Italian speaking groups and others, please give me some feedback. And by the way, we will find it out which nation and which tip finds more important. Okay, I'm reading, standing up, movements, energy, not a monologue, but a dialogue. Yes, that's right. Open body, the upper part. So the lower part of your body shouldn't be open. You shouldn't be naked, that's for sure. So sitting, standing, being more animated. So I will receive the feedback from our English speaking room as well and other languages as well. Please use in the next time any chance and any tips you learned when you speak online, and not more than 3. So 3 elements from what actually I advised you. Try to practice in your next speech. So you practice, test it, and then every time add another new. Okay, I see it. Dear friends, thanks a lot for your interest, for your trust. It's strange. So in Moscow, behind my screen, it's pouring, the rain is pouring, but there is such a feeling that I am in Rome or in Barcelona or in Latin America or with our friends in the Moscow city, in our office. And one more thing, look, even the lack of the direct contact never will substitute the live talking, because our business is live talking and communication. Please communicate with the people and be masters of communication, and may the success be with you. Thank you a lot, and bye. Yours, Igor.